Marvel Champions going to a new release model? Well, some people are kind of speculating that, mainly because on the Spanish, I believe, Fantasy Flight Games website, they're announced basically a hero box, right? It's going to put the first 6 hero packs all together and kind of bundle them together and then sell them. And they have this whole thing, and there's so many heroes, and all these heroes are so great, and this is why you should buy them all and whatnot. It's an interesting thing, and it has people speculating that, oh, maybe this is the new release model for the future, right? It's taken a while to announce the next cycle, which has some people commenting on that as well. Personally, I don't think they're going to go this model. My guess is the reason that this box exists is because a lot of new people came into Marvel Champions with X-Men. I'm going to assume that was the goal, was to get a lot of people in with that IP. I'm going to assume it worked. And now there may be a market demand that has a bunch of people trying to play catch up, right? Well, while the hero system is really cool in the way that it works, where you can just pick and choose the heroes that you want to play, if you're trying to join the game later on, it makes it really tough. So I'm going to assume that this is a way for them to have everything catch up, or have people catch up and have people get back into it, and it helps make them more money, right? Realistically, because now they don't have to try to guess what heroes to put into print and reprint and try to keep stock and whatever. It's just easier. It's probably cheaper also to bundle them all together like this. Now, as far as future releases go, are they going to do this? I don't think so. I think if they were going to do this, they would have done this with the X-Men with the very first release. The reason being is because you wanted to, for the first release, really get everyone on board. So you bundle all like the really popular X-Men together, which we just saw all pretty much the big name X-Men hero packs were pretty much all released. Not all of them, but a bunch of them were. That's the one you would have wanted to bundle together, I think, to sell people on this idea that like, hey, you're going to buy all of them anyway. And now you can get them for a slightly cheaper price because obviously it's cheaper to produce a bundle. It's cheaper to ship it all versus individual packs and all that fun stuff. The other important note that I saw a lot of people complaining about this, that if they did this in the future, that it wouldn't be good because the release model lets you pick and choose heroes. And here's the thing with that. While I agree that's a cool model and whatnot, I'm willing to bet that the vast majority of people that play Marvel Champions buy all the heroes or like all but one of each cycle, right? Realistically speaking. So I've seen the argument online that, well, if this box costs $100, let's say, would you pay $100 just for one hero? And I think that's the wrong way to look at it because, again, I'm sure people will mention in the comments like, oh, the Guardian cycle, I only bought one hero or something like that. Yes, people like that out there exist, but I would assume the majority of people buy all the heroes or all but like one of the heroes. So the question is, would you pay $100 to, get a hero, just get one hero that you want and the rest of them that you don't want? Would you pay $100 and get 5 out of the 6 heroes that you really want, right? And it'd be a little bit cheaper than saying like if it's 120 individually, right? And I know that math's off, but that's just like rough examples. So anyway, I don't think they're going to move to this yet. I do think this will be the future though, eventually. So it'll be interesting to see. So anyway, let us continue with our Reddit reply for this week. I picked up this question because this is, you can fill Winter Soldier in with basically anyone. And what I mean is, why isn't the Winter Soldier in this game yet? He's not Captain America's nemesis. He wasn't Red Skull campaign. What are they waiting for? And now he was, right, an ally for somebody, for Black Panther, right? He was an ally, so he was in the game. But I also think a lot of people think of this with like heroes, right? You can put in like Daredevil, right? Why isn't Daredevil in this game yet? Why isn't XYZ in this game yet? And this is like a really good question overall because I feel like there's a lot of heroes they've skipped out on. And they talk about this with a lot of people, Falcon, Goliath, Wonder Man, others are all part of ally syndrome, where, there's ally versions of them, but there's not hero versions of them. And a couple of people mentioned on some other things too. And it's kind of interesting, and Blade was brought up. And I like to think that eventually we'll see all those popular heroes. I don't know when that is, but I mean, realistically, eventually they gotta be scraping the bottom of the barrel, right? Eventually, I mean, not yet, but eventually they're going to. So they have to get out those, heroes at some point, I would think, or maybe they don't. I don't know. Let me know down in the comments. Do you think they're going to do that? Do you think eventually we'll see a Winter Soldier? Well, Maybe we'll see Daredevil. I don't know. We'll see. All right, next one. Best learn the hero villains. Which villains are best in allowing you to get a good feel for the hero? I struggle with Rhino the few times I play against him, and I've heard that he is swingy. Fact check, true. Not necessarily looking for someone that's slow and steady, but at least consistent, if I'm making any sense. And this person, I get what they're saying. The problem is, the same idea is for veteran players too. Like, what can I test my deck against? And I think a lot of the villains that have been coming out for the past year or two are so niche in the way that they work that I don't know if there is like a test villain anymore. A lot of people argue Claw down below, which I agree. Claw is probably the best all around one to go against. 100% agree with that. But the problem is Claw nowadays is kind of an easier villain, right? Like Claw used to be considered pretty tough, especially on expert. He's not a pushover by any means, but he used to be considered pretty tough. I don't think many people anymore would consider Claw one of the tougher villains or scenarios in this game. And it makes sense, right? Naturally, the game's going to progress this way. I'm not like bad mouthing whatsoever. It's a natural thing to happen. But because of that, if you test your deck against Claw, let's say, a lot of the later villains, I don't think it works exactly the same, right? Like, I think the way you approach Sinister Six or Mansion Attack or even Hela or even Thanos or Loki is going to be very, very different than how you approach Claw. So I don't know if there is a great way to quote unquote learn your hero or test decks against your hero. Maybe there is, but the thing is also, I think the way a lot of people are approaching the game now is that you build a deck against a villain. Now, I know this is me included. We all want to build like the perfect deck. Maybe one day we'll get to do it, but I don't know if that exists just yet. I think it will eventually, just not yet. It takes time. But yeah, I just don't think there's like a perfect test villain. And I know a lot of people will argue Claw. I get it, but I still think the way you play against Claw is so vastly different than so many of the villains and scenarios nowadays. So next up is a person asked about Not So Wild. Looking at resources, I see many cards require certain ones to activate. It made me wonder what's so good about Wild if it doesn't trigger abilities. Like Iron Man's Rocket Boots needs a mental to activate, right? So a Wild would not trigger it. So I had been told. So obviously this person got told wrong information. Unless it says printed resource, right? Like physically printed on the card, it could be a Wild, right? It could be a Wild. The reason I bring this up is not to like, go off on this guy and let him know that he was wrong. It's to let you know that Discord link is down below, and you have questions like this, you can go ask us in Discord. We're really, really helpful like that. And I ask questions all the time because I might play the game a lot, but I don't know a lot of things. And I need help. Everyone needs help. Everyone has questions. I sometimes ask a lot of dumb questions. So, there's that. So anyway, all right. Last one is just from the board game subreddit. And they talk about, are you the pledge and forget type of person, or are you constantly checking the status of your crowd-funded board games? Now, it's funny because this person's a part of the latter category where they're checking the status, and I feel like I was too at one point. I feel like I used to check in on the status of my games all the time, and now I will back games and completely forgot I back it. I actually got an email the other day to let me know about a status update for Isofarian Guard, I think it's called. I don't know. Apparently I backed it. I don't remember. I didn't think I did, but that's going to be coming in the future, which I'm kind of excited about because now I spent, I think they're 2 years behind. I don't know if they're behind schedule, but it's been 2 years since like the pledge, I guess. So I've had a lot of updates to read through. So I'll read through all the updates and try to catch up and see what they're doing. But I used to pay attention to all of it because I wanted to see what it was. And nowadays it's just like, no, like if it looked good, then hopefully it shows up good. And I think that's me as a board gamer has evolved, or I care about money less or the games less. I don't know which that is. That's probably not a good thing overall. But anyway, let me know. Are you the type to back a game and then constantly follow all the updates, get really hyped for each update, which is totally cool, totally fine? I get it. I used to be like that. Or are you like new me, where I back it and then it shows up one day in my doorstep and I'm like, oh, that's right. I spent a lot of money on this. I should probably play it, not immediately sell it. Let me know. Let me know down in the comments. And while you're down there, make sure to hit the like button, hit subscribe. All that fun stuff really helps out, and I'll see you all next time.